If it don't help me glow, I don't see it. If it don't help me flow, let it go. 2025, baby, it's all about the know. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining today's live training. And today we're talking about all things health and lifestyle, myth or facts. This is something that we feel really passionate about. We've been doing alternative health for the last 30 years. And we're getting loud. We're having the conversations that other people are not having. And we think it's really important because there's a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of mistruths. And then when we actually start doing their labs and looking at their tests, we find that these myths are actually really harming people cellularly. So this is why we do the live training. So if you are watching the replay or you're watching the live on Facebook, please comment watching live or comment replay if you're watching the replay. With that said, tonight we're going to be discussing everything about power nights. And I am actually really passionate about this one because there's a lot of coaches out there that talk about the importance of power mornings. And Joy's raising her hand. She's like, me, pick me, love it.
I'm definitely a power morning, not a power night. Jody is a power night, maybe not the power morning.
I think both work really well if you do them both correctly. But if you're not having a power night, then you're going to actually set yourself up for failure for the power morning. So I want to get into it. So I'm going to share my screen here. There we go. So power nights. Let's get into it. Okay, so we know that power mornings are essential, and power mornings dictate whether you are successful during the day, fact or myth. Now, you know that Joy and I are divided already, so I say that it is a myth. Okay, so no matter how hard you try, if you're not cellularly able to support yourself in the power mornings, you will always feel like you are behind the 8 ball. When we're not getting the sleep that our body needs, that it requires, and forcing a power morning, then we are actually creating more cellular stress. So we think we're setting ourselves up for success, where really our cells actually go into survival mode because we're not sleeping or we're having interrupted sleep. So often with hormonal imbalance, we'll get insomnia, we will get fatigue, we'll have to have like the 20, 30-minute naps just to get us going in the day. And really, we should be able to function without those. So this affects our cortisol and our cortisone production, which then affects the adrenals, which then affects the thyroid, because what a lot of Western doctors don't teach, and because they're not taught this, so it's not because they don't know, it's because they're actually, like, it's not because that they're not telling us the truth. It's because Western doctors were not taught this. This is taught in Eastern medicine, and adrenals control the thyroid, not the thyroid controlling the adrenals. So if it is a true thyroid problem, then when we correct the adrenals, the thyroid will not correct. However, the majority of the cases, I would say 85% of my practice, when we start treating the adrenals, the thyroid starts self-correcting. So this impacts our hormones and starts a degenerative path that leads to burnout, overwhelm, and eventually we get a diagnosis. So often we are misdiagnosed with depression, we are misdiagnosed with anxiety, some are diagnosed with a bipolar. So sleep is actually really important in this case because there are so many misdiagnoses, and that's why I say that power nights are more essential than power mornings. Joy, do you have anything that you want to say on this?
Oh, I think your power morning goes much better when you have a power night, for sure. For sure. And the more you try and have a power morning when you've had a really less than powerful night, the more it does stress you out, the more you're creating that anxiety within your system. And of course, that cellular degeneration.
The definition of a power morning to me is like forcing yourself out of bed and riding that stress hormone to get to the gym, to force yourself to eat a healthy breakfast, answer all your emails, and like you're immediately on go.
My power morning is like 10 minutes of first light, the 10 minutes of sunlight. You're going to jump in your cold shower or lukewarm shower, as it may
Gross.
be. Very gross. And you're going. and you're going to get 10 minutes of outside, so it's the 10 10 and 10 for me rule. And then I want 10 minutes of journaling, something less stress, keeping in mind that our brains are activated at like we are our smartest for the first 2 hours of our day. Taking that time and using the intelligence really wisely and using it for more of a rest and relaxation, not a cortisol push like you were describing. That's what you
That's
described.
not my morning. My morning is a mindful practice morning. I smell my coffee. I make sure that I have my time. That way I'm not rushing out the door.
Okay.
Sleep is natural, and if you struggle, there is an imbalance. Is this fact or myth? This is actually a fact, okay? So sleep should be natural. Everyone needs it, and in fact, it is imperative for survival. We die without it. That is why sleep deprivation is a form of torture in some places. Okay, so when a person struggles with sleep, that is their body telling them, whispering or sometimes even yelling, that something is wrong. And are you listening to those whispers, or are they already yelling? So this is something that I discuss in my coaching programs quite often, is the body is in constant communication with you. And if you don't know that communication, I always used to explain in my massage practice that the body is filled with trillions of cells. And its sole goal is survival and to do the job that the cells individually have. Our brain is what has all the ideas, all the goals, all of the, daydreams and all the aspirations. And when these two get disconnected, we get at war with our body. What is our brain against trillions of cells? We're not going to win this war against trillions of cells. So, when we're talking about the mind body balance, we're actually talking about whether we're listening to what the body is telling us so that we can pick up when something is wrong immediately and self correct or go, okay, what do you need? And all right, this is happening in my life and I can't change this. So, like, we have to deal with this. So, what is the best way to support my body and listen to it while still doing what I need to do? Because life goes sideways all the freaking time. All right, our daily habits won't affect sleep. Nothing inhibits sleep. This is a myth. Sleep is affected by our nutrition, it's affected by alcohol, blue light, and EMFs. This is primarily like women actually start noticing even more of this when we get into that hormonal change, that hormonal shift. So, whether we're pregnant, whether we're going through peri or menopause, even post menopause. Now, I say this all the time, even if you are through menopause, the body still goes through a cycle. We actually just don't get the show. So we think we're done. We think that the myth out there has been like, oh, you're done. You don't have to worry about that ever again. Thank God. Wrong. Without the show, we don't have an indicator of where we are in our cycle. So then we don't know how to self correct and how to support each different phase, which we have 4 of them in our cycle, of how to best support us. Okay, so one of the big things is EMF. So we're sitting in front of one right now. I've got my ring light. I've got my phone here in case somebody couldn't get on and was struggling. So we are surrounded, and I even have a TV here, a smart TV. It's not a dumb TV. So I have like YouTube on, and when I have clients for hands-on, and like we're just surrounded. This triggers oxidative stress in the various tissues, and we can see this in the blood. And Joy can tell you what that looks like in a moment, but also that it causes significant changes in levels of blood oxidant markers. This means fatigue, it means headaches, it means decreased learning ability and cognitive impairment. Joy, do you just want to talk about oxidative stress and antioxidant markers in the blood?
Free radical damage is where the cell walls become very weak and unstable. So they kind of look like little waves and they complete that circle. So that is a very weakened cellular wall. So that allows infiltration from different bacterial cultures and strains. Oxidative stress, it is a free radical damage. So free radically damaged cells become more susceptible to the C word and to other autoimmune diseases that are out there and deficiencies. So vitamins A, C, D, and E, and of course sunlight are going to counteract that. So part of your power morning, just a plug there.
Okay, point taken. And yes, I love now that the days are getting longer, I so enjoy the sunshine, walking blades in the morning, and I realized how cranky I was. So, like when we are talking
Yes.
about the benefits of power mornings, yes, they have the purpose, but sleep is vital for those success.
When,
So,
yeah.
What about like a mindful morning? Because a power morning does make me think of that high stress, like get to the gym versus a mindful morning. I don't know.
mindful morning it is. Let's adopt that. Let's make that a
For
thing.
sure.
Okay, so for sleep, I realized for myself that having my phone in my room with me and like I have to listen to something while I fall asleep. And this is going to sound super hippie, have fun researching it, but like magnets under your mattress or putting magnetic grounding, like a copper bracelet or like a hematite bracelet on your ankle, it actually helps.
Oh man, we did that 30 years ago when our mom bought magnetic mattresses. And magnets
Yep.
have been proven to work, they've been proven to ground. Don't try moving one, they're freaking heavy.
Very heavy. Very heavy.
Moving on. So, blue light disrupts sleeping by inhibiting melatonin production and hormones that regulate sleep wake cycles and can delay falling asleep. Show of hands or nodding your heads or like thumbs up. Who has a TV in the bedroom?
Okay, what if it's a significant other that you spend like 30% of the week with? I
No,
don't want to
keep
be
up.
judged, but that is a thing that's happening in my life.
I think that significant other needs to
Oh.
watch this training video.
Mm.
So, blue light really does stimulate the serotonin production. So, when I'm educating women in hormonal balance and adrenal fatigue, lowering their cortisol, I do recommend that at least 1 hour before bed, ideally 2 hours before bed, the screens go off. So that means TV, that means your phone, that means this training. There's no scrolling, there's no watching YouTube, educational videos, or anything like that, whatever is the platform of choice. No watching mindless friends so that the brain can feel like it's turning off and you don't have to think about solving crime. Actually, it's more beneficial to get into a nighttime routine. So, like hot shower or hot bath, get some aromatherapy in it. That's the time for journaling so the brain can actually unpack everything that's happened to the day so that you're actually not trying to solve world peace when you're trying to go to sleep. And it is the time to like get old lady. So I'm going to say old lady because we're old ladies here. So knitting, crocheting, diamond painting, coloring, journaling, anything like that, that does not involve screens. So Christine's holding up something, but I cannot tell what that is.
Play-Doh.
Oh, Play-Doh. Yeah.
Because I'm not an old
Yeah.
lady. I'm a young lady. I'm still playing with Play-Doh.
That's awesome. Anything that Joy you would like to add on blue light, or are we complete?
We're complete.
Oh, and like alarm clocks. So it's really beneficial if you have an old school alarm clock and not like your phone. Make sure it's red light, not the green light, not the blue light, because that actually is going to disrupt your sleep. So nutrition. The purpose of eating is for energy. Now we talk about this all the time is like calories mean energy. That's all it is. It's not fat. It's not like everything. It's energy in, energy out. Okay. So when we eat before we go to bed, the body will actually receive energy. That makes sleep harder to attain. Imagine, you're falling asleep, and then all of a sudden, because you had your hot chocolate, you had your, strawberries, you had your peach, you had, a slice of toast, anything before bed because you were snacky, right? In my case, I like the almonds and the mixed seeds and stuff. What happens is if I partake in those, then about half an hour to an hour later, I'm good to go. My eyes are now like wide awake. So we always want to make sure that we are not eating at least 2 hours before bed, ideally 3. Last one, alcohol. So many will drink a glass or two before bed. Some like their beer, some like their wine, some likes their spirits. It doesn't matter. A lot of them say that it helps them relax. It helps them sleep. However, it actually does the opposite, making REM sleep harder to reach, and you wake up easier. So it also inhibits melatonin production. And we all know that melatonin is the sleep hormone. So even though it might have that relaxing effect at first of like, how much has that been conditioned in us? Because like, who doesn't like, a cocktail or like their favorite drink, right? At the end of a long workday. But later, as it gets metabolized, it's really going to disrupt those brain chemicals, and sleep isn't going to be good. We're not going to get into the deep REM sleep. We're not going to filter things into long-term memory. So then we think that we're going crazy because we can't remember anything because nothing gets transferred. So it inhibits our learning. It inhibits short-term going into long-term. It inhibits our REM sleep, so we're not actually getting a deep sleep and going through the natural sleep cycles that we're supposed to. And then melatonin. And I see this in the urine quite often when I do their hormonal testing, that they're low in melatonin. And one of the things I ask is, do you regularly have a drink or two before bed? And typically the answer is yes. And that's when we have to have a conversation of like, let's have a nice herbal tea. Let's have lemon water, whatever you need to do so that you don't inhibit that cycle.
Alcohol also gives the nervous system a false sense of security. The calm that you're feeling is a hijacked nervous system. You're not actually resting, and your nervous system is still on high alert, so you can't get down to that REM state.
Sleep and hormones. Sleep does not affect my hormones. I've been leading up to this one. We should all know the answer to this. This is a myth, okay? 100% sleep affects our hormones. In this, I've given a sample urine test, and you can see right away. So her melatonin production is at a 2. Just to be at normal levels on the low end, you're supposed to be at 17. So no wonder she is exhausted but cannot sleep. And then when we're looking at the gluteocorticoids and the mineralocorticoids, I want to explain this. So think of it as a speedometer, okay? Speedometer is up, pedal to the metal, everything is full thrust, really stressed, acute stress. Everything is down or on the low level, that means there's no more gas in the tank. There's no more reserves. There's no more like gumption, and you are on fumes. So this woman is in chronic stress, and she's had a really hard life, because this is not just 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. This is years. So whether it's hard childhood, hard adolescence, hard young adult, midlife, all of that. It's years. No matter where it started, it's been years. Right away, I know that I want to treat her adrenals because her mineral corticoids, as you can see, I wrote some red notes. This is in the alternative circles known as adrenal failure because she's got nothing in the gas tank. Okay. Medical field, this, if you're an adrenal failure, you're dying. So please don't misquote me. Okay. We just use different terminology for things. Okay. So if we're not producing the hormone melatonin, then it has a cascading effect on our stress hormones, which regulates our estrogen, testosterone, and thyroid because the adrenals, like I said before, control the thyroid, not vice versa. This is going to have major consequences throughout the rest of her tests, things that we're going to have to address, but this is priority. Joy, do you want to explain what adrenals do, like what you see in the blood when you do live cell?
Oh, with the adrenal failure, it's really difficult to actually narrow that down because you're seeing so many indications and they can point to so many, it's like a spider web, right? And so all of it adding up to adrenal failure, I would say there has to be heart indications. You have to see hormone imbalances. You have to see undigestion of proteins. We're going to see some ovocytes, so oval shaped, so hormone imbalances. There's a number of different conditions that will lead to the theory of adrenal failure, whereas this, like your urine testing, is a lot more conclusive when it comes to that. Like I can see indications of it, but I can't pinpoint it. Yours, the hormone testing can.
Okay, sleep effects on a cellular level. Sleep does not affect our cells. And there's a reason why I asked Joy in the previous slide if she had anything she wanted to explain, because it absolutely does. Okay, 100% sleep affects our cells, starting with our brain. Okay, and we can see that in live cell. We can see the stress. So healthy adults getting poor sleep lose volume in the frontal, temporal, and parietal bone. So frontal, temporal, and then parietal. Okay. This is critical thinking. It's sensory perception and integration. So like sound, sight, taste, smell, hearing, touch. Improper sleep affects our long-term memory. It prevents our short-term memory to integrate into long-term while we sleep. This affects our ability to learn new things, remember conversations, experiences, which then affect our emotions because like we think we're batshit crazy. It's just like losing our minds because we can't think of anything. And even like what I found fascinating when I went down this rabbit hole is like it affects our taste buds when we're tired. And like we know this, like logically, it's like when we're tired, we're going for the carbs, we're going for the sweets, we're going for like the easy energy. But then we're actually not going to really find the more healthier choices, like say the carrot sticks or the Greek salad or the chicken breast, actually appetizing because it takes the body energy to break that down and it doesn't want to work. So it actually, we are designed to go for the simpler things when that's actually when we need to go for the harder things. Anger. Who gets lack of sleep and then like is really cranky with their kids or their coworkers or their boss or like just the traffic? Road rage is real, especially in the mornings when people are not sleeping. Lack of sleep primes us to focus on negative experiences and to misinterpret it facial expressions. So even the way that we perceive people talking to us, right? Like she looked at me sideways. She must be pissed off at me. She must be gossiping about me behind my back, right? Like we create these stories in our head just because of lack of sleep. We like to pick fights. I am owning this one. If I am tired, I'm like, come at me. Come on, I dare you. I dare you to come at me. Kids 20 and 17, they can be a lot. And let me tell you, if we're not sleeping, we know it. So if our brain is affected this way, how do you think your cells, trillions of cells, are being affected? Sleep and the physical. sleep affects pain levels. This is true. Fallon, you don't know my story, but I am titanium from the hips down. I had to learn how to walk again 7 years ago. So I was compared to pea gravel from the hips down. When we're lacking sleep, the body becomes survival mode. And this means that we are on high alert. Okay. And the brain is going to fixate on everything. So it will tell you that this hurts, that hurts. Injury that I got 7 years ago, is now starting to fester. And like when I was 2, I fell and hit my head, and now I'm remembering that and how that hurt, right? So the body actually feels more pain when we are lacking sleep. So this is again why I say like power nights are so much more crucial, because if we're in pain, if we're not thinking clearly, if our brain is on red alert, there's no way that we can have a mindful morning. Studies have proven that those that struggle to sleep also increase their risk to heart attacks. Of course, the warning system is going to feel more pain in order for you to stop and rest. So remember those body whispers that I was telling you about? Pain is the last indicator that the body will give you that something is wrong. And I learned this over a decade ago in my massage career, that if this is a cell, okay, actually, okay, so like right, this is a cell, okay? And then let me just take this little pin, or like this little dot right in the center there. So but this center, that's the only thing that feels pain. So how much does this cell have to be compressed and stressed in order to feel pain? So when the brain is on fire, everything is going to hurt. The body is going to hurt because it's going to be on fire. And this is why I say like your nutrition, your sleep, everything needs to be aligned, because we can take all the supplements in the world to get to our goals. But if our life is not aligned with what we are trying to do cellularly, and that means also our nutrition, then we can only take ourselves so far. Anything that my ladies want to add?
I think that the rest and relaxation, because the body is either in a state of rest and recovery or it's in activation. And allowing for the rest and recovery is going to salve the pain, but you can only get that rest and recovery if you're fueling it correctly for you.
The nerves in the brain also get tired, and they have when like we're tired and we have miscommunications, the same thing is going on in our sensory motor cortex with the neurons, and the neurons connecting to the muscles in my hand. When I'm tired or in pain, those muscles are not going to have adequate firing to tell my hand what to do. Also, clumsier, feeling tenser because I'm trying to stay awake. A lot of other symptoms go along with that as well.
Okay, so here are some action steps, okay? Because we never want to leave you going, well, now what, right? True action steps are crucial for success for healthy sleep, okay? Turn off the electronics at least 1 hour before bed. So we covered that. Choose a calming activity to do in that hour. So hot shower, bath, journaling, painting, knitting, reading, Play-Doh. Choose a bedtime. Okay. So if I try and go to bed by 10 o'clock every night, and that means that I got to work backwards, and lights are off every night at that time. And we're not so different than toddlers. If you remember babysitting young kids or having your own kids and nighttime being a struggle, then you know that the more routine that they can be in, the better. Now, some are gourmet sleepers and they need a gourmet bedtime routine, like my oldest. So we literally needed to say goodnight to every face and every picture going up the stairs, because I had pictures going up the stairs. And then we had to say goodnight to every stuffed animal and all of that. Now we had bath time beforehand, and we had like body massage beforehand, and we had snack beforehand. Now I wouldn't give a snack, but it was delaying and making it nice and smooth. So if you were a gourmet bedtime person, that's totally okay, but stretch it out then. You might be like my youngest was, and like, Marley, go to bed. Fine. And she would go to bed. She was perfect. She was beautiful. And then my middle one, River, who like was in between. So she was good with just a bath and a massage, a story, and then the night. Right? So figure out what your routine is and work backwards with live cell, with dried urine hormonal testing, and then with DNA testing for customized supplements made specifically for you. We actually get to the cellular health of you so that we can start fixing things so that you can actually start making your life match what your cells need and not trying to force your cells to do something that they've never been designed to do or are struggling doing already. If it don't help me grow, I don't need it. If